Green screen keying in Fusion inside Davinci Resolve. Okay, now the first thing is to come to your timeline in the workspace editing and make sure that you have your green screen footage on top of your background. You select everything and you right click and create a new Fusion clip. Okay, now this is done. We come here to the Fusion workspace. Okay, the first thing you get is media in, media in one, media into, and merge node and stuff and whatnot. You know what? Let's disconnect all of these things. You could even delete this merge node. Let's put media out here and let's look at our media ins. Okay, what is this? This is the background. Okay, we don't need to work with that yet. Let's move it here. What is media into? That is our green screen. Okay, move it up here. That's the one we need. All right, what's this? The method. What are we going to do? We're going to do green screen keying. What is green screen keying? I'm asking the question because I have two methods in mind that I'd like to address with you. There's the method where you're going to select a color of green with the color picker and say disappear, and then somehow it disappears. Well, not somehow, actually, it removes that green and it starts adding more magenta, but anyway. The other method, which I would like to demonstrate now, that this is what I'd like to teach you, is the image-based keying. Right? Image-based keying is a word actually that you find back in Nuke. This is why the keyer in Nuke is called IBK, and you find it back in Natron, and the keyer in Natron is called PIK. Whatever they're called, and then in this one it's called clean plate plus delta keyer. Okay, so in this case, what are we going to do? Are we going to remove the green? In step number one, actually not. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to add green. Why? Because the idea is not to remove the green. The idea is to remove everything behind these two gentlemen. The mindset is such that I don't care what you have in the foreground, just give me your clean plate. And this is one question that these two nodes are going to ask you. Let me bring them in first. Let's get introduced to these two nodes. Control space and clean plate. That's number one. We can disconnect it for now. And clean plate, and control space, and then we bring in delta keyer. Delta keyer. Okay, so these are the two, this is the duo that you're going to have. Now, if in Nuke, it's the same thing, it's IBK color and IBK. In Natron, it is pick color and pick. Well, in Fusion, it's clean plate and delta keyer, which actually makes much better sense because it just reads in English clean plate, and that's what it does. Okay, so, and this is like a keyer. Cool. This is what it does. In two steps. Step number one, we are not going to remove any green. We are going to add it. Why? Because the purpose is to recreate a clean plate that you should have had during filming. Well, I'm saying you should have had, I know. In most cases, you will not be able to because it's not practical, because you don't have control, but if you can, do yourself the big favor of having a clean plate, please. Okay? If you have a clean plate, like you've shot it, you are going to bring it in instead of this one. Don't use this node. This node is here just to save you in case you don't have a clean plate. So if you manage to shoot a clean plate, then bring it in as media in and bring it in here. All right. So that is the clean plate. So what's the advantage of having a clean plate? Why don't you just rely on this one and say, well, whatever, why should we even bother shooting a clean plate when Fusion has a magic node that is called clean plate? It's going to recreate the whole stuff for us. Well, it's got advantages. Realism always has advantages. Why? Well, this clip that I have chosen has 5 mistakes. Okay, I've got plenty of other stuff, but it's got 5 mistakes that I'd like to address with you in here. I've chosen this stock footage, which is not ours, like we've just chosen this stock footage from a stock footage company. And let's talk about the mistakes. And one of the things why I'm talking about the mistakes, because the clean plate it's got something to do with that. Mistake number 1, when you shoot green screen, you always need to have, well, unless you're using another technology, you need to have tracking markers. Okay. Now, unless you are in, but that's another pair of square brackets. I'm opening a few square brackets here just to explain a few things. Your green screen needs to have tracking markers unless you are in a space, like in a place, like in a studio, where you're using motion control robots. Like when you have a robot for motion control, that is a different story. It does not need any tracking markers because it does the whole work. Okay, because it's the match moving is actually with motion controlled robot, so that is, you don't need it. But guess what? Most cases, there are no robots, so we're going to be using what? The green screen, the green screen with the tracking markers. Now, tracking markers are needed when you're going to move the camera. And if it's not going to move, you can get away with not having them. But if at some point in time you're going to move the camera when shooting, then chances are you better have them from the beginning. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is these gentlemen are too close to the green screen. That's why you see their shadows. You should be further from the green screen, a few meters. Okay. Number three is it's not evenly lit. Can you see this is bright and this is dark, which basically means that they didn't even have lighting on the right and on the left. Number four is the actors are not independently lit. The same lighting is being used for both the green screen and the actors. Well, because they're so close, of course, they can't light them separately because they have made the first mistake. That the second mistake is also there. You need to have lighting. You need to light your actors separately, meaning they are further from the green screen, and green screen has got its separate lights, and the actors have got separate lights. Okay, good. Now, the last mistake is what? This is rubbish video. Rubbish video is defined as H.264. That's compression. Now, VFX and compression don't go together. The enemy of green screen keying, the enemy of visual effects, any visual effects, is called what? Compression. So when you are going to shoot, please shoot in RAW if you can. If you cannot, you can go down, no problem. ProRes, a higher quality of ProRes, fine, but don't go any lower than 422 10 bits. Okay, I said again, 422 10 bits. Any lower, you are begging for trouble. Okay, and what is trouble? Trouble is what we have in front of us, and I have chosen this one to demonstrate that the technique does work on miserable quality videos as well. But trouble is such that you don't have information to work with. Keying is keying color, right? And also clean plate is reproducing color. But what if your image is compressed? Compressed meaning you have lost color information. And that's not good, okay? That's not good. So this is why you need to start with RAW if you can. If you can't, don't go any lower than 422 10 bits. Okay, we've closed now the bracket for the 5 mistakes, and let's see why we're talking about this for the clean plate. We mentioned the tracking markers. Okay, now you know that the tracking marker is going to have to remove them yourself manually. Okay, not really manually. Tracking markers, you can do it manually for one frame and then ask Fusion or any compositing software that you're working with, ask it to do it for the rest of the frames. But if you have like 35 markers, tracking markers, don't get surprised. You can easily add have 35, 40, 45 tracking markers depending on how big your set is. You've got a few on the ground, you've got a few on the left side, you've got a few on the right side, you've got a few on the ceiling, you've got a few on the in the wall in front of you. You can easily add up to a few to 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50. That means you're going to have to do it manually for one by one. Now, I know there are techniques for, and I've already demonstrated for Fusion the technique for removing tracking markers, but this doesn't take the fact that you're going to do it for one frame. So if it's 30, you're going to do it for 30. Now, why are we talking about tracking markers when we don't have them here? Because number one, you should have them here. That's number one. And if you have them here, we'd bring in your own clean plate. You get them removed for free. That's the beauty. You don't need to work on that. Why? Because it is not about keying out the green. It's about removing the whole background behind these two gentlemen. So when you tell them, can you please move to the side? I'd like to shoot a clean plate. When they move to the side, the tracking markers stay there, right? Okay, when you shoot that clean plate, it becomes what? The clean plate with tracking markers. When you ask Fusion to remove it, it removes the tracking markers, all 50 at once. Okay, clear? So this is why you should shoot your own clean plate as much as you can. Second advantage is shadows. Well, it depends on the situation. If you have on the ground green screen and you've got, if you're using the green on the ground and people are moving, you're going to have shadows. Okay, generally, okay, it's another bracket here. I need to mention these things. So when you're shooting, of course, the environment with which your actor is going to interact needs to be realistic, meaning it needs to be part of the world that you are creating. So the background, if they're walking, better not have it in green. It needs to be whatever. Is it another planet? You need to sort out this ground to look like that other planet. This is better. I'm saying better. I'm not you should or must. I'm just saying this is better. for your green screen key and only leave the wall or the upper part to be keyed. All right. But if you have no choice but to have everything on green screen, fine. Then when you have shadows on the ground, these shadows, logical, they move with your actors, right? They move with your. So when you ask your actors to get out of the clean plate, so you shoot it, the shadows are not there, right? Okay, so what does that mean? That means the shadows are not part of the clean plate, so they don't get removed. So when you bring in the actors again, they come back with their shadows. Yeah, I know, I'm saying something that looks weird. I'm talking about come back with shadows, but I just need you to focus with me here. This clean plate stuff is going to give you back your shadows for free. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So when you bring in your own clean plate, you're going to get your shadows for free on the ground. It keeps the whole thing. Why? Because it knows that that shadow was not in the clean plate. So that shadow was not in the clean plate. So that's part of the film. I'm going to have to keep it there. That's what Fusion is thinking. That's the beauty of the work, right? So this is why, please make sure that when you are shooting, you get your clean plate, because no more working on tracking markers, and you get your shadows for free. Now we close this whole big bracket about getting your own clean plate, and we say you don't have your clean plate, right? Fine, okay, you don't have it. And because you don't have it, if you have it, you're going to put it in place instead of this one. But if you don't have it, fine. Let's right click on this one and connect input. Okay, let's put this one in here and start working. Clean plate basically means one thing. I'm now going to do something that I should have done during production. During filming, I should have shot the clean plate. Now I'm going to have to do it right now. What? Yes, we're going to remove these two gentlemen and have clean plate. We're going to add green. We're not going to remove green. We're going to add green. Okay, so how do we do that? So the final result, the ultimate goal and mission and reason of existence of this node is that you get more green, like the green plus everything that's behind these guys, to get the stuff as if you have shot it yourself, clean plate. You come here, method, step number one is please change it to ranges. It's just way better. And you start selecting. How you do that? You come here and you select this, like this. Probably what you want to do, just come over here and drag this one to the left, to the right. You start selecting. Yeah, you select all the green. The idea is that we are not selecting what needs to be removed. Now we're selecting what needs to stay. So it's a different way of doing things. Right. I'm just selecting a few values here and there because I know they're going to cause some trouble. Let me get closer to his head. 200. I have got some noise in here. That's not good. Let me get closer. And select some of that stuff. There's one right there. Okay. So why am I doing this? Because I don't want to push the second step too far, further. So what I'll do now is just let's reset this stuff. Okay, fine. It looks okay. It looks okay. What is okay? Okay means I have regained my whole green. That's the purpose. And let me now get even more green behind these two gentlemen. How do we do that? Step number one was methods and selecting your greens to bring them back. Step number two is going to be erode. Erode what? Generally, when you hear erode, you think erode the mat. No. We're eroding. Everything is opposite now. Everything is opposite. So we're not removing green, we're adding green. We're not eroding the mat, we're eroding the green. Why do we erode the green? Because we have removed some of the nasty detail in here, okay? Around some noise here around the edges, but this may not have covered everything. We need to erode it, the green, to cover more. So we're going to cover more here. So let me just explain how this works. So you make it bigger. You make those two gentlemen thicker. The mat is thicker. So like dilating, actually. You're not eroding. You're eroding the green by dilating the mat. All right, we're not working on the mat yet. We're just now worried about one single thing, getting back our clean plate. So step number two is this dilate, actually, not erode. Okay, erode the green. And then grow edges. Grow edges, which basically means, actually, it's got better, it's worded better in Natron and in Nuke, patch black, which is remove black, but you don't have any black in here, so whatever. So you're going to remove these two gentlemen. So you do like this and they're gone. Guess what you have now? A clean plate. Well, you see the difference? This is an estimated clean plate and your clean plate is going to look much nicer. Okay, but you don't have it. Fine, no problem. Let's look at the clean plate now here and let's connect what? Okay, how do you connect it? Well, depending on whether you're new to Fusion or I'm going to consider you're new. I'm going to take you by the hand on this one, and you have yellow, pink, white, gray, blue, and very quickly I'm going to tell you, don't you bother about any of these colors, please. Don't try to remember yellow is for input, pink is for this, white is for that. Don't worry about that. So how do you know which one you're going to connect? Well, it's quite simple. You right-click, and you drag, and you release, and then, okay, what is that? What was that? That was a clean plate. Cool. Okay, let's select a clean plate. That's selected. Now, we don't only need the clean plate. The keyer needs more than the clean plate. It needs the original footage as well, which is this. Right? So right-click and release. What is this? This is an input. Okay, that's an input. And if we had a garbage mat, we would have a garbage mat. I'll just bring it in here. If you had a garbage mat, if you had used the roto and the new garbage mat stuff, you would have gotten that roto node as a garbage mat. But we haven't done that, okay? Nice. Good. Okay, so this is your keyer. Now what I'm going to do is clean plate here and your delta keyer here. What do we have? Now we start working on the mat. Well, this means we're going to have to move to view mode, mat, and then we come here to the third section, which is mat. Right, what do we do? Now we have black and we've got white with some gray. Why is the black so clean? Because we have used the clean plate. That's why it's so clean. But what is not clean is the mat itself. We've got some light gray values in here, and that's transparency, and that's something we should not have. Now, the first parameters we're going to work with are the clip black and clip white, and we're thinking, well, where are they? I can't see them. If you are familiar with clip black, clip whites from After Effects, Keylight, or from Nuke, Keylight, or from Natron, Pick and Pick Color, clip black and clip white are the most renowned parameters for tweaking green screen keying for the mat and for the alpha. It's exactly the same thing in here. It's threshold. And actually, it's laid out really beautifully here because it gives you the 0 here and the white here. It gives you, in one parameter, it gives you the clip black and the clip white. Now, what does that mean if you don't know it? What's clip black and what's clip white? What's happening in the background when you're asking clip black and clip white? Let me just do it and show you what it does. Okay, when you bring it, yeah, it became white. Cool. Okay, but what are you really doing in the background? What have you just asked Fusion to do? What is 1? 1 is white. 0 is black. It is not only in Fusion, it's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. Color correction, 0 is black, 1 is white. You have minus values, sub blacks. We have more than 1 values, super whites, but this should not be in your footage, right? It should stop at 0 and stop at 1. Cool. 0 is black, 1 is white. All right. Now, when I bring it down, what do I say? I say, what is 1 actually? White, what does that mean? What does that mean? The pixel value is 1. Okay, and here, when it's black, the pixel values are 0. So what are these values over here? This is not 1. If it was 1, it would have been white. So what is this? Is this 0.1 or 0.9? That's the idea. Okay, when you bring it down to 0.9, something like this, it gets cleaned. But what have you really done? Well, not this part, I still need to go down. You have asked Fusion to convert pixels with value 0.9, which is light, very, very light gray, to convert them into white. Make it 1. If you come across anything between 1 and 0.9, make it 1. That's what you're saying. And you bring it even further down until we get rid of most of this stuff. And let me show you why I'm saying most, because this is a reflective thing. Okay, let me go back to matte and say that this should be kind of fine for us. Okay, but what's the downside of pushing this too far? I'm going to show you. It's the edges. We're going to have a white line around the edges. But for now, let's keep it as is. This is clean because we've got the black. Well, it's not really, really clean. We're going to see it later. I'm going to have to tweak it. But for now, this is clean. Let's call it clean for now. And then what we need to do is just go back to the final result. Okay, final result, and we get closer. And we see something we don't want to see. 2 things. Generally, 2 things. You find, of course, the green spill, which is always there, depending on how close they are. And in this case, it's a disaster because they are so close to the green screen. So we're going to have to take care of this. Plus, there's a white line. See this one? Well, this is taking too much care of our of our math, that we have this line around our actors. Okay, so what do we do now? The first, these are two separate things, and if you see a green line, it's not green, it's actually white. So you need to sort out the green first separately, and you sort out the white separately. Okay, so the green bit is quite simple. You come to the fringe tab, which gives you the dispill method. So just, just dispill, and then you select one of the modes. There's a rare, medium, well done. Well, you have the luxury of using rare when you are far from the green screen. But when you're that close, their noses are almost in the green screen, you're going to have to go with the well done. So well done. Burnt is a disaster. I'll just show you burnt. This is a disaster. You can't use this one. Well done is like pushing it to the, it's like removing the green and pushing it to the maximum you can without, and you can still, if it's exaggerated, spill suppression, this is one. I wish they said 100%, so that you can say how much of it do you want to apply, 50% or 1%. You could go burnt and reduce it. Yeah, you can go burnt and reduce it. Fine. Just see which one works for you. Reduce it meaning you're just using 37% of burnt. You could do that, absolutely fine. But when you're eyeballing, just using your eyes to look at this, you may not pay attention that you have just introduced too much magenta in there. Because remove the green, add magenta. That's the color wheel. Okay, let's go back to the well done and use all of it. Okay, yeah, that's kind of okay. We could go to the burnt and then 20% or something. You could do that if you want. You could do that. Let me see. I think I got some transparency in here. Let me have a look. Matte. I got, oh, see. Okay, this is beautiful. Cool. No, you don't have transparency in here. This is just the rubbish compressed footage that we have. Yeah, you lose information, color information, and you get pixelations. What is this? This was a nice actually transition to our next step, which is taking care of the edges. Taking care of the edges, we have two things. Let me go back to the final result. We have here this white line, but we also have these this noise around the edges. Now, how do we do that? You just come back to the matte, and there is clean background, because this is background, it's not foreground. Let's start cleaning the background, and we're just a tiny bit. Just be careful with these parameters. Use them sparingly. Just when the last pixel is gone, we stop. That's it. Okay. So let me just see if I've stopped too early or too late. Just a little bit like this. That is it. Okay, this is for the noise around our actors. Now let's go back to the final result and see if the line is gone as well. No, the line is not gone. We have two things to work with. We've got the full clean background, which basically is taking care of the values between the 0 and the 1. So anything that finds itself between 0 and 1 gets crunched. That's clean background. And then you have the option now, because we've worked so hard on our matte that we've got it so solid that we have gone a little bit beyond the edges that we should have. This is why we have this line here. So what we do is erode. And this one, be careful. If you go like this, then you end up really eating up too much of your yeah, see? So just really tiny bit. Oh, this is too much. This is too much. Sorry. This is too much. 0.7-ish, 9. Okay, 6. Probably 8, 9. Shall we go with 9? Okay, that is kind of it. This is the maximum I can use. This is the maximum I can use. Let's now go back to fit. And what do we have? We have not finished. We have worked on the matte. That's all we've done. We've worked on the matte. Have we worked on the colors? No. I'm not saying color correction. Restoring the colors. Let's have a look. Let me show you what I mean. This is the original footage, and this is the results of our keying. I'm going to show you how the result of keying. There are some negative effects, some side effects, and the more mediocre, like the lower the quality of your video, the more pronounced these side effects are going to be, the more problems you're going to have. Because this is compressed H.264 rubbish video, let me get closer to the source. Not fit. Well, let me get closer to the result. 200. Can you see the shoulders here? Can you see the pixelation difference between this part and this part? Well, because this one was closer to the green screen, when we have removed the green, it has messed up the color information because it didn't have enough color information anyway because it was compressed. Okay, so let's have a look closer to the source. This is the source file. We have brought this stuff in, and now do you want me to get out with this stuff? No way. This is the result. This is when I say in the enemy of VFX and green screen keying is compression. Now, is this only due to compression? It's the natural work of the keyer. It takes away information, color information. But when it doesn't find enough information, just start ruining things. Cool. Okay, let's look down. Let's look further down here and see how disastrous this result is. See, this is, well, I'm tempted to say clean, though it's a compressed footage, but you can see for yourself here that there are some dots. We didn't have that stuff. Let's look at the trousers even. See, this is rubbish. This is stuff you don't want to have this. Now, how do we sort out this problem? Simple. Let's go back here. You can do it manually if you want, but I prefer to show you the automatic way of doing it, which is the replace method. Replace method, you come here and you go to your source. You click on source and you get this source footage. What am I doing? Actually, when you say source, replace method, colors, use the colors from the source. Actually, I'm bringing back again these same colors through the alpha, which may have introduced, so I need to look again, which may have introduced some green, some spill. No, it did not, because we have this embedded inside it. So if it was another node of this spill, this is the beauty of having this spill inside the delta keyer. If it was another node, it would have been a different story. But for now, we have, see these edges here? This has got nothing to do with keying now. Now it's all about the quality of your footage. If it's bad inside, it's bad outside. But we've gotten rid of the nasty line, the white line. Okay, by using clear foreground, sorry, clear background in here. What was that? Clean background and dilate. Just very, very small. Fit. And what do we have now? We can bring in the background. So now we use the control space and bring in a merge. Bring in the merge. No, thank you. Anything that gets connected, just disconnect it. You want to have the luxury of pushing with the right. Select with the right button on your mouse, and then you bring in here. And then you release. What is this? This is a foreground. Cool. That's a foreground. What is this? This is a background. Cool. I don't care if it's blue, green, yellow, whatever color that is. This is how I recommend that you work. Okay, now when I bring in this to the viewer, then we have what? We have the colors that we had initially. We have a clean matte. We have a clear edges. But now we have finished. Oh, sorry, not finished everything. We just finished the keying part, not the compositing part, because there's no way I'm going to send this as a result. Can you look at this? The background is bright, and the foreground is. Well, we said that they made a mistake during shooting. They didn't light the actors separately, which basically they were sharing light that was coming from very far for the green screen. Otherwise, it would be too overexposed. You have properly exposed the green screen and underexposed the actors, meaning the lighting is rubbish on the actors. We need to fix this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a node which is color correct. Now, I'm not going to color correct. I'm just going to brighten this whole thing, right? Not whole thing, just the foreground, just the two gentlemen. I'm going to come just straight to the gain and work on, I mean, there's different ways you can work with this. Sorry, I didn't mean to reduce it. 1.1. Right, so this is a bit brighter, and I go to the contrast. Where's my contrast? And 1.1, and probably, yeah, we're going to get more pronounced colors than we had in our original footage. Now, this is an artistic choice because in this case, I do have this contrast in the background. So I want to have something similar in the foreground. Okay, so this is how you do the keying in Fusion, in Davinci Resolve, using the Delta keyer and the clean plate. What you need to do now is simply connect it to your media output, right? Media output. Once it's connected to the media output, then you can go back to your timeline. And what you're going to find the result of what came out of Fusion. Okay, so this now is Fusion clip. It doesn't matter what's inside in here. What matters is what happened in Fusion in here. That's exactly what you find back in your timeline.